Alright guys, so what we're going to be doing now is having these buttons click over to their appropriate screen over here. Now I have recorded a really long video a few minutes ago and it crashed, so I'm going to try to do this as quick as possible so to avoid any more crashing. Alright, so let's add a custom event, and in this custom event we're going to call it attachment edit. Alright, an attachment edit now. Really got to go over all this again. Okay, let's get our attachment scope box. Alright, now think a few episodes ago I did something like here I used the where is it, I had a vertical box here that the scope box was in, and that's what I populated with the attachments when you click this button. So if you did that and you didn't catch on, what you need to do is use the scroll box. I went ahead and deleted the vertical box because I didn't really need it, but use the scroll box, and this is what you would clear and add. Alright, let's go. Alright, now in our attachment here, we're definitely going to want to have an text input here. We're just going to say the type. Okay, now from the attachment scroll box, you want to clear it first before we add anything to it. Then we want to get our weapon switcher, or widget switcher, sorry about that, our widget switcher. And if you were catching on, you would know that we're at 3 now. That's where our attachment widget is now, the index. And then we want to get where is it? I want to get this text box. I went ahead and named it attachment type text. It's a variable, so we could go over here and grab it. And we want to set the text. And as you can see, the text will be set to that right there. Okay, now we want to get data table row names and get attachment type. We're going to get all the attachment names here, and we're going to say for each of these names, get data table row. Right, name is going to be that index. Okay, now we do this because we actually want to check the type. So let's break this. We're going to have a switch. So we want to get the type of attachment here. So we're just going to set the view for the different type of attachments. And then we want to go ahead and create widget. Let's plug that in there. Now the widget we're going to create is this attachment slot, but before we do, like I said, I've recorded this video before, so I have a few of these variables here. We're going to add a variable called item name. We're going to have an instance editable and expose on spawn. We're going to have another one called index, same instance editable and expose on spawn. Then we're going to have a current preview weapon, which is going to be a weapon base, and it's also going to be instance editable and expose on spawn. Alright, so once you have those done, once you add the slot here, you should have them right here. So we just grab the attachment name here and the index, which is going to be over here. You guys can definitely clean it up if you want. I have one up here already, so yeah. Okay, and once that is done, you want to grab your scroll box here, attachment scroll box again, and add that to it. And once you do that, I don't know if you remember from earlier, we did create this function called set weapon location, which gets our current weapon preview, and then we're going to set its transform. Okay. You could use the camera instead of the weapon, the camera from the scene, but I'm just going to use the weapon here and just move the weapon left and right, up and down, or rotate it however. All right. So we're just going to grab that and we're going to add it to the end. Okay. Let's split it. And for the optics, I already have some locations here, so I'll just put them in, but I think they should also work for yours if you're following. But you could always figure out how you want them to look, how you want it to rotate. I'm just changing the location, not the rotation or anything. All right, now what you would do is copy all of these and add them to each one, and all you need to do is just change the location. I mean the weapon location. You just add a weapon location, so you just copy this whole thing or however you want to handle this, and then just change the the location and rotation for it. Or so whenever you click this button, we're just going to go over now to handle those buttons. Now we just go over to those buttons. Where are they? Nope. Whenever you click one, you click the muzzle, we're going to get our attachment function we just created down here. This is the one I'm using, but you're going to get this, attachment edit. Once you bring it up here, add the muzzle. For the muzzle, when you click the muzzle button, the optics button, click the optics, and also make sure the names are correct as they are in the data here, because you are interacting with the data table eventually. So, and once that is done, all you would need to do now is go over to your attachment slot button here and get the button. Once you get that button, you just want to grab the item name and just spawn that attachment. Okay. All right, quick revision here. So to get rid of the that little switch we had here coming off the weapon type, figuring it gave you guys some problems, but getting rid of that, on our attachment edit where we have our type here, we're going to add an enum, the enum attachment type, and another one for a transform for the transform at the end down here. So we're going to actually get the transform on this. So the only thing that is different, we clear child, switch, set the text, and then we get all the attachments. Now for the weapon type, out of this break right here, we want to get the type, and we're going to check it against our type here, which we're gonna we're gonna put in down here. So if the type is the same, if it's, let's say we choose a muzzle, if it's a muzzle attachment, we choose over here if this is equal to a muzzle. If it's true, then we're gonna check that muzzle, and see if it's compatible with our weapon here. Now if that's compatible, we're gonna go ahead and create the widget and add it to our child, add it to the attachment scroll box here, and then this set transform here, I took out the set weapon location. You can essentially still use it, but I took it out, and now I have this function here inside of the base weapon. So if I was to minimize this, go to the base weapon, here we have this set weapon transform function. And a lot of the other functions that we have in here, like the set camera and all these other stuff, we could actually have them inside of our base weapon, so we won't have to keep referencing the customization widget and current weapon. So once we get that done, now we have our little event here, our function. So whenever we click the muzzle button here, we're gonna add the muzzle, and the type is a muzzle type, and this little macro here, all this little macro does is to get the location that we need to put set our weapon, is it gets the skeleton mesh that's in the scene that we the one we use to reference our location. It gets that, and we break that vector into X, Y, and Z floats, and all we do is just add some value to those X and Y to change the location that our weapon is in. So if want the muzzle to be more visible than the rest of the gun, this is the way we do it. Essentially, you could actually just do a plus vector here, and it would still be the same plus vector, and add it in here, still be the same. The rotation, we're keeping the rotation from the skeleton mesh, so rotation will still be the same, which is a -180. You could change that if you want, and I think I might go over some different rotations to get those kind of cinematic looks. But so that's the location, where right now I'm using the X and Y, not this anymore, which I still could have been using, but I'm using the X and Y, and the values that I'm adding to this value, this transform right here, or this X and Y, is going to be these right here, which are for me 36 and -10, and that will give me the muzzle, the look at the muzzle that I want. So everything still remains the same, except we remove the switch, and then we do a type equals to type. If it's true, we check to make sure it's compatible with this current weapon here. If it is, we populate that attachment scroll box, and then when this is the event that handles that click. So we click that. Let's go over here, hit this button, click on this button, and then we go to the this event happens, which is pretty much everything here, and our location, which we so what you would do to get the different views, you would just add different X and Y values, Y and Z values to the current weapon. So you would have different views. So let's try it out and see what that looks like. All right. Okay. So got different weapons, and I don't have any attachments for these weapons because they're pretty much just these first-person weapons. So whenever I click on them, as you may know, none of the attachments that I create has this weapon as compatible, so it would always be empty. All right, now if let's say let us go to our rattlesnake. So this is one of the weapons that you're able to customize here, that has the different parts that I add, and you could actually add sockets for whatever attachment you want to attach to a weapon. All you have to do is just add that socket to that weapon, and you know, just line it up before you add it into compatibility. And as you can see here, I have a muzzle for this, and I can add the muzzle. It's around, there you go. And you see the view switches down here for the muzzle. If I go back, the muzzle is up there. For the underbarrel, as you can see, got that nice little tripod. Go back, so you can see, now we got a tripod, that, right? Mag, you know, they got a mag, optics, the scope, you know, and you know, each of these, you click them again, you can take them off, you know. And there you go. And that should be it. Alright guys, see you on the next one. Next one we should be going over adding our save button, or a button to save all the changes, so we could either add it to our weapon, current weapon, or switch out to the new weapon. And you know, then we're going to be dealing with these progress bars here. So alright guys.